Welcome back to Newsmax Prime. More than 50 nonprofit organizations are fighting for their right to keep their donor lists private. California's Democrat Attorney General Kamala Harris implemented a new policy in the state demanding nonprofits disclose their donor lists or lose their licenses to solicit in that state. But federal regulations forbid states from requiring nonprofits to reveal their donors. For more on this, we welcome in David Keating, the president of the Center for Competitive Politics, who joins us from Newsmax Washington, and also joining us via Skype, the chairman of conservativehq.com, Richard Viguerie. Gentlemen, we thank you both for your time. And David, we'll begin with you. We understand your organization took this case to court in California. You lost, but now you're asking the Supreme Court to hear this case. Why, some would ask, is it so important to protect the identity of donors?
Well, fundamentally, I think the key reason is a lot of people who give to charities across the country want privacy when doing so. Now, they may have many different reasons for doing so, but all of them are important. Some people want privacy for religious reasons. Some people want privacy because they're concerned about threats or harassment by giving to a cause that might be viewed as others as illegitimate. And other people are concerned about the government officials themselves, what sort of retribution government officials might take if they don't agree with the organization that they're donating to. So there are many reasons that people would want privacy, and we're not talking about a campaign finance issue here. We're just talking about people that want to support a charitable cause.
And yet there are political overtones, David. When I heard you outline this, and let me turn to Richard, I think back to the Prop 8 battle, where it was on the ballot to have traditional marriage in California. The left went after those who were donating considerable funds in favor of traditional marriage, trying to shame them. Richard, do you fear that Democrats like Jerry Brown and Kamala Harris will target conservatives, especially in California?
Absolutely. They've demonstrated that they will do that. And they tried to crush, literally, people who oppose the homosexual lobby on Proposition 8, as you pointed out. It goes back even much further, J.D. In the 1950s, the segregationists in Alabama tried to get access to the NAACP's membership rolls in Alabama for the obvious reason of intimidating him, shutting down the NAACP. So the last thing in the world we need is for politicians, Republicans or Democrats, conservatives or liberals, to be able to control the lifeblood of their opponents, which is the money. And, you know, none of us seriously believe that they want to stop at getting the access to names and addresses of donors of over $5,000. Once that is set, then it'll go down almost certainly to $1,000, $100, and then they'll want all donors. And as Thomas Jefferson said, let no more be said about the goodness of man, but tie him down by the chains of the Constitution. And this Attorney General, Kamala Harris, in California, is in violation of the Constitution. The Supreme Court has ruled very clearly you cannot do what she is attempting to do.
And mindful of that, and thanks for the Jeffersonian citation, Richard, but let me turn back to David right now. What will happen, David, if nonprofits do not comply with the AG's demands in California?
Well, they won't be allowed to talk to people in California about giving money to their organization. So any charity in the country that wants to raise money, of course, they're going to want to go to California. It's about 15% of the nation's wealth and population. But they'll say simply, you can't talk to people and ask them to give money to your charitable organization. That's what's at stake. They've also threatened people who run the organization or are on the board of directors with personal penalties and other kinds of liability, and to take away the tax exemption for people who are trying to deduct contributions in California. Well, so a whole panoply of penalties.
It sounds like something we're very much going to have to keep our eye on, and David will keep an eye on the cases as they develop in court. Richard, you outlined it earlier. Sounds like the left is growing even more strident in California, trying to choke any grassroots initiatives that may be conservative in nature. 30 seconds for the last word, Richard.
Well, David, it actually started at the federal level. Now we're seeing it go down to the state level. A IRS under Lois Lerner, disclosed to homosexual activists, the donors to a marriage organization, and against federal law, and they had to be fined, or were fined $50,000 for violation of the law. Now Kamala Harris is trying to replicate what Lois Lerner did, which is try to influence politics at the state level. And this is a very, very frightening thing. People on the left or the right should be very concerned about politicians wanting to control the lifeblood, in essence, which is money, which equals speech of their opponents. I mean,
and we will have to leave it right there. Richard Viguerie in Virginia, David Keating in Washington. Gentlemen, you have our thanks.